Wow, folks, 2025 is already here. Time flies so fast, doesn't it? Like, whoa, how did we get here? Welcome to our channel. In this special podcast episode with our special guest, Laura, we grab our crystal ball, give it a good shake, and dive headfirst into some of the most daring, absolutely mind-blowing predictions for the future of AI, robotics, and cryptocurrency. I mean, could OpenAI really release O5? Is Bitcoin seriously going to hit $150,000? Human-like robots, like taking over jobs, Elon Musk heading off to Mars, wars ending, Tesla new models, self-driving cars, or Trump slapping on tariffs and either optimizing or totally wrecking everything? Let's talk all through. From AI maybe hitting superhuman intelligence to Bitcoin, like rewriting the financial rule book. This is going to be big, really big. So yeah, let's dive into the thrilling what ifs, the totally wild could be, and maybe even the slightly terrifying what now moments of the future. Buckle up. It's going to be a crazy ride.
Okay, so you ready for this?
I'm ready, hit me.
All right, so we're going deep today. Deep into some pretty wild predictions for 2025. We're talking AI that could write Hollywood blockbusters, robots in our homes, and even humans on Mars.
Yeah, the sources you sent are pointing to a massive shift, an AI revolution that could totally change, how we live and work.
But hold on, because some of these predictions are, well, a little unnerving.
Right, especially when it comes to the job market.
Exactly. Like, take this prediction about GPT-5. It's the next version of that AI language model from OpenAI. And apparently it's going to be so powerful it could almost reason like a human.
Yeah, like near-human reasoning.
That's incredible.
Oh, sorry.
But also a little scary, right? Imagine AI writing an Oscar-winning screenplay or a best-selling novel.
I know, right?
What happens to human screenwriters and novelists then?
Well, that's a valid concern. And it's not just creative fields that could be affected. One source predicts that up to 52% of jobs could be automated by 2026.
Whoa, 52%.
Yeah, we're talking customer service reps, data entry clerks, even some financial analysts.
Okay, that's where the excitement kind of wears off a bit.
It's a lot to take in for sure.
But I guess the flip side is that there will be a huge demand for people who can work with AI.
Absolutely. AI engineers, robotics specialists, data scientists, these are going to be the hot jobs. Think of it like a new industrial revolution.
Driven by algorithms and robots.
Exactly. Instead of steam engines.
Speaking of robots, Elon Musk is all in on them with his Tesla bots. Humanoid robots working in factories, maybe even our homes. It's like science fiction coming to life.
It really is. And Tesla isn't the only one. Companies like Boston Dynamics are building some incredibly agile robots.
I've seen those videos. They're kind of freaky.
I know, right? They're getting so advanced. And then there's Ocado technology. They're using robots to completely change warehouse automation.
So on one hand, we have AI potentially writing our movies and books. And on the other hand, robots are building our cars and stocking our groceries. What else does 2025 have in store?
Well, the sources you give us also highlight some big changes in cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency, you mean like Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of that. Bitcoin, for example, could hit $150,000. Think about what that would mean for investments.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
Yeah, it is. We're also seeing a revolution in healthcare, too.
Healthcare? Like what kind of revolution?
AI could completely change medical diagnoses, and self-driving cars could become the norm.
So longer, healthier lives because of AI-powered healthcare and maybe not even having to drive ourselves around anymore.
It's all on the table.
It's almost too much to process. AI writing movies, robots doing our jobs, Bitcoin skyrocketing and living longer thanks to AI. Is there anything AI won't be able to do in 2025?
That's a great question, and that's actually a good segue into what we should talk about next, artificial general intelligence, or AGI for short.
AGI, okay, here's where things get really interesting and maybe even a little terrifying. What exactly is AGI?
Well, the CEO of OpenAI thinks AGI could show up as early as 2025.
Wow, that's only like a year away.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. And AGI means AI that can learn and solve problems like a human, but not just in a specific area, like across the board.
So we're talking AI that can reason, plan, learn, and solve problems, just like us.
Pretty much. Imagine AI solving climate change or developing new energy sources, even curing diseases that we can't figure out right now.
That's incredible.
It is exciting, but it also brings up some, well, unsettling questions.
Like, could AI become so smart it, gets out of control? Could it, I don't know, turn on humanity?
Yeah.
Like in those sci-fi movies?
That's definitely a valid fear. The idea of AGI makes us really think about intelligence, what it means to be conscious, and what happens if we create something smarter than us.
I'm trying to be optimistic here, but I can't help but feel a little, uneasy. But before we spiral into an existential crisis, let's talk about this prediction for video AI.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
Sora V2 and Google's VO2. They're supposed to make it possible to, create realistic videos just from text.
Right, just from a description. Imagine the possibilities. You could make entire movies with just your imagination, or edit live broadcasts in real time using AI.
Wait, so you're saying we could see, AI-generated movies in theaters in 2025?
It's possible. And it's not just movies. Think about marketing videos, educational content, even personalized entertainment that's made just for you, based on what you like.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But what happens to human creativity when AI can create anything we can imagine?
It's a good question, and it's one we need to think about as we enter this new era of AI. The future's uncertain, but one thing's for sure. Change is coming, and it's coming fast.
So where does all this leave us humans? Are we destined to become, obsolete? Replaced by our own creations?
That's a question a lot of people are asking, and it's totally understandable. But humans have always adapted to new technologies, right?
I guess so.
The key is to embrace the change and focus on building skills that AI can't just replicate.
Like what? Give us some hope here. What skills should we be focusing on?
Well, think about critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, problem solving, and anything that needs human interaction and understanding.
So basically, the jobs that make us uniquely human.
Exactly.
That's a little reassuring, I guess. But what about the millions of people whose jobs are at risk of being automated? What happens to them?
It's a crucial question, and it's one that society needs to face head-on. There are lots of discussions about things like universal basic income, retraining programs, and even new economic models to help people transition.
It sounds like we're going to need some serious changes to make sure everyone benefits from this technological revolution, not just a select few.
Absolutely. The future of work is changing rapidly, and we need to be talking honestly and openly about the challenges and the opportunities.
Okay, well, we've just started to explore these 2025 predictions, and it's already clear that we're in for a crazy ride.
You can say that again. The next few years are going to be both exhilarating and challenging.
Yeah, it's both exciting and a little scary all at the same time. But hey, at least we'll have some amazing AI-generated entertainment to distract us from the robot uprising, right?
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But seriously, the best thing we can do is stay informed, stay adaptable, and maybe brush up on those uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate.
Great advice. Now let's take a closer look at some jobs that are likely to be safe from automation and those that are, most at risk. Let's start with healthcare. AI is going to change a lot about medicine, but it can't replace everything, right?
Definitely not. The human touch will always be essential in areas like nursing, therapy, and patient care.
It's hard to imagine a robot providing compassionate care or, truly listening to a patient's concerns.
Right, and while AI might be able to write a song or paint a picture, it's unlikely to replace the originality and the artistic vision of human artists and musicians.
So for any aspiring novelists or painters out there, don't give up. Your human creativity is still your biggest asset.
For sure. And let's not forget about skilled tradespeople like electricians, plumbers, and carpenters. Those jobs need hands-on skills, problem solving, and adaptability that AI just can't match yet.
Okay, so there's still hope for those of us who are more comfortable with a hammer than a computer chip. But let's be realistic, there are definitely jobs that are at risk, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Customer service reps, for example, are already being replaced by those AI chatbots and virtual assistants.
Oh, tell me about it. I can't count how many times I've been stuck talking to a chatbot that's completely useless instead of getting help from a real person.
And that's only going to become more common. Data entry clerks, bookkeeping, accounting clerks, anyone whose job involves repetitive tasks, they're all at high risk of being automated.
So basically, if a robot can do your job faster, cheaper, and without taking breaks, you might want to start thinking about a new career path.
It's not always that simple, but it's a good way to think about it. And we can't forget about drivers.
Driver.
Yeah, with all the advancements in self-driving vehicles, jobs like trucking, taxi services, and even delivery services could see a major impact.
It's a tough reality for all those people who depend on those jobs. It seems like AI has this incredible potential to disrupt the job market. But could it also create new opportunities?
Absolutely. As AI and automation become more common, there will be brand new roles in industries that we can't even imagine yet. We're going to need people who can design, build, program, maintain, and even regulate AI systems.
So it's not just about like coding. It's about really understanding how these AI systems work and making sure they're used responsibly.
There's also going to be a growing need for people who can bridge the gap between humans and AI. People who can translate those complex techie concepts into plain language and help integrate AI into different industries smoothly.
So if you can speak both the language of technology and the language of people, you'll be in high demand. What are the impact of AI on fields like healthcare, education, and creative industries? Will those be totally dominated by AI, or will human skills still be important?
Even though AI is set to change those sectors, human expertise and creativity are still going to be essential. In healthcare, for example, AI can help with diagnoses and treatment plans, but you still need human doctors and nurses for patient care, empathy, and those really tough decisions.
Makes sense. You can't really replace the human touch when it comes to healthcare.
Exactly. And in education, AI can personalize learning and handle some of the administrative tasks. But teachers are still crucial for guiding students, encouraging them to think critically, and giving them emotional support.
So teachers can breathe a sigh of relief. They won't be replaced by robots anytime soon. What about creative fields like writing, art, and music? Will AI be able to replicate human creativity?
Well, AI can create some pretty impressive stuff, but it doesn't have the same depth of experience, emotions, and originality that humans do. Human artists, writers, and musicians will keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and AI can be a tool for inspiration and collaboration.
So it sounds like the key to doing well in this age of AI is to focus on those uniquely human skills that machines just can't replicate.
I think that's a good way to put it.
But with all these advancements, isn't there a chance that AI will eventually become even smarter than humans?
That's a question that a lot of people are debating. Some experts think that artificial general intelligence, AGI, could eventually surpass human intelligence in every way, but others think that human consciousness and creativity are fundamentally different from AI, that they can't be replicated.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that concept.
I know, it's pretty mind-blowing.
But regardless of whether AI gets smarter than us, it's clear that we're moving into this new era where humans and AI have to figure out how to live and work together.
Absolutely. The important thing is to approach AI with a balanced perspective, acknowledging both the good and the bad. We need to come up with ethical guidelines for how we develop AI and make sure it's used to help people, not hurt them.
That makes sense. Okay, well, we've only scratched the surface of all the ways AI could impact our lives, but it's clear that we're in for some major changes. What advice would you give to our listeners who are trying to figure all of this out?
I'd say stay curious, be adaptable, and keep learning throughout your life. Stay informed about what's happening with technology, but don't let fear or hype control you. Focus on developing your human skills, the ones that AI can't easily copy. And most importantly, get involved in shaping the future. Advocate for responsible AI development and make sure that technology is used to serve humanity.
That's great advice. We've talked a lot about how AI could change the job market, but what about how it might affect other parts of our lives, like healthcare, education, or even transportation?
Well, AI is already having a big impact on those areas. Take healthcare, for example. AI can help with diagnoses, personalizing treatment plans, and even developing new medications.
So we could potentially live longer, healthier lives thanks to AI.
It's definitely possible. And AI is being used to change how we learn, too. It can create personalized educational experiences, take care of some of those boring administrative tasks, and even give teachers helpful information about how their students are doing.
That sounds like it could be really beneficial for both students and teachers. What about the world of finance? How's AI changing that industry?
Oh, it's making big changes there, too. AI is being used to automate trading, catch fraud, assess risks, and even give personalized financial advice. It's making financial services more efficient, easier to access, and more secure.
So AI is even affecting how we manage our money. What about transportation? We talked about self-driving cars earlier, but are there other ways AI is changing how we get around?
Well, besides self-driving cars, AI is also being used to make traffic flow better. improve public transportation, and even develop flying vehicles. It's making transportation safer, more efficient, and better for the environment.
Wow. It sounds like AI is about to change practically every aspect of our lives. But with all this talk about AI, it's easy to forget that it's not the only technology shaping the future. What other advancements should we be keeping an eye on?
That's a great point. Besides AI, we're also seeing incredible advancements in things like biotechnology, nanotechnology, and even quantum computing. These are all poised to have a major impact on our world.
Okay, now you're talking about some seriously mind-blowing stuff. Can you give us a quick rundown of those? What's happening with biotechnology, for instance?
Sure. Biotechnology is leading to breakthroughs in gene editing, personalized medicine, and synthetic biology. It has the potential to cure diseases, help us live longer, and maybe even enhance human capabilities.
Whoa, enhance human capabilities.
Yeah.
Now that's getting into some sci-fi territory. What about nanotechnology?
Nanotechnology is all about manipulating materials at the atomic and molecular level. That means we can create materials with amazing new properties like self-healing materials, ultra-efficient solar cells, or even tiny robots that can do surgery inside the human body.
Tiny robots doing surgery. That sounds straight out of a science fiction movie. And what about quantum computing? I've heard it's supposed to be revolutionary, but I'm not sure I really understand it.
It's pretty complex, but basically, quantum computing uses the principles of quantum mechanics to do calculations that regular computers can't handle. It could change everything from drug discovery and material science to artificial intelligence and even cryptography.
So quantum computing could actually help us develop even more advanced AI systems.
Exactly. And it could lead to big breakthroughs in cybersecurity, like creating encryption methods that are virtually unbreakable.
It sounds like the future is full of incredible opportunities and some pretty daunting challenges.
I agree. The key is to be curious, responsible, and willing to adapt.
Well, we've only begun to explore all these incredible technological advancements, but one thing's for sure, the next few years are going to be incredibly interesting.
I think it's safe to say we're on the brink of some truly transformative changes.
And it's up to all of us to make sure those changes are for the better. Well said.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency, okay. It's a pretty wild world, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be volatile, for sure. But the potential, well, let's just say it's getting a lot of attention.
For good reason. One of the sources we have predicts that Bitcoin could hit $150,000 by the end of 2025. That's a massive jump.
It is, and there are several factors driving that potential surge.
Like what?
Well, for one, more and more institutions are getting involved. Major companies and even some governments are starting to invest in Bitcoin.
So it's not just those early adopters and tech enthusiasts anymore?
Nope, not at all. It's becoming more mainstream, more people know about it, and that means more people are using it.
That makes sense. What else is driving this potential Bitcoin boom?
Well, there's also the potential for clearer regulations. Governments around the world are trying to figure out how to create rules for cryptocurrency, which could make things less uncertain and encourage even more investment.
So is Bitcoin on its way to becoming like a regular everyday currency?
It's definitely possible. And it's not just Bitcoin either. The whole cryptocurrency world is growing really fast. There's this thing called decentralized finance, or DeFi, that's getting a lot of buzz.
DeFi, okay. What's that all about?
DeFi is all about creating a financial system that's more open and accessible, without relying on traditional banks.
So no more banks. That's a pretty radical idea. What would that mean for, like, the average person?
Well, in theory, it could give people more control over their own money. Imagine getting loans, earning interest, or making payments without needing a bank.
That sounds pretty empowering, but is it safe? I mean, is DeFi risky?
Like anything new, there are definitely risks involved. It's super important to do your research and understand what you're getting into.
Good point. Always good advice. Okay, let's move on to a topic that affects us all. Healthcare. Our sources predict some pretty incredible advancements in longevity science.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. We're talking about breakthroughs that could actually help us live longer, healthier lives. Imagine living for years, even decades, longer, and staying healthy and active throughout those years.
Okay, now you've got my attention. How is that even possible?
Well, one really promising area is CRISPR gene editing therapies. CRISPR is a game changer because it allows scientists to actually target and change specific genes.
I've heard about CRISPR, so you're saying It could actually cure diseases that are currently incurable, like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's.
It's definitely a possibility. And it's not just about curing diseases either. CRISPR could help us slow down the aging process itself, targeting those mechanisms that make us age.
That sounds straight out of a science fiction movie.
I know, it's incredible. Another promising area is something called senolytic drugs. These target and get rid of what are called senescent cells.
Senescent cells, what are those?
They're kind of like zombie cells. They've stopped dividing, but they don't die off. They just hang around in our tissues and release harmful substances that cause inflammation and damage, basically making us age faster and increasing our risk of those age-related diseases.
Zombie cells, that's a pretty vivid image. So these senolytic drugs could clear out those zombie cells and help us age more slowly.
That's the idea. If we get rid of those senescent cells, we could potentially delay or even prevent those age-related diseases and live healthier for longer.
It all sounds so promising. But are there any downsides to all these advancements in longevity? It seems almost too good to be true.
Of course, there are always things to consider. One big concern is that it could lead to more inequality. What if these treatments are super expensive? Will only wealthy people be able to afford to live longer, healthier lives?
That's a good point. We wouldn't want to create a world where only the rich can access these life-extending treatments.
Exactly. We have to make sure that any advances in longevity are available and affordable to everyone, regardless of their income. And we also need to think about the impact on things like healthcare systems and social structures. If everyone starts living much longer, it could put a strain on healthcare resources and things like pension systems.
It's a lot to think about, that's for sure. It seems like with every technological advancement, there's always a trade-off. We have to weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks.
Absolutely. We need to have those tough conversations and think carefully about how we develop and use these new technologies.
Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about another technology that's generating a lot of buzz. Brain-computer interfaces. Companies like Neuralink are working on implants that could allow us to control devices just with our thoughts. Is this really going to happen, or is it just science fiction?
Brain-computer interfaces are definitely becoming a reality. Companies like Neuralink are making real progress in developing these interfaces, and they could have a huge impact on our lives.
What kind of impact are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Well, imagine controlling your smartphone or computer with your mind, or downloading information directly into your brain. You could learn new skills in an instant.
That's both amazing and a little scary. What about the risks? I mean, what if someone hacks into my brain?
Yeah, security and privacy are major concerns. It's absolutely crucial to make sure those interfaces are secure and protected from hacking. We can't let people get unauthorized access to our thoughts and data. And we also need to be really careful about the ethical implications of this technology.
What kind of ethical implications?
Well, for example, if we can connect our brains to devices, what does that mean for our sense of identity? Or our free will? What if our thoughts and actions can be influenced by those external devices? These are tough questions that we need to grapple with as this technology keeps advancing.
It's like opening up a whole new can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely raises some profound philosophical questions.
It sounds like brain-computer interfaces have the potential to be both incredibly beneficial and potentially dangerous. It's a double-edged sword.
That's a good way to put it. Like any powerful technology, it all comes down to how we choose to use it.
Well, we've given our brains a good workout talking about that. Now, let's move on to something a little more down to earth. Transportation. What are some of the predictions for how we'll get around in 2025 and beyond?
Get ready for a revolution in transportation. Electric vehicles are about to take over thanks to big improvements in batteries and charging infrastructure.
Our sources predict that solid-state batteries could double the range of EVs, and we might see ultra-fast charging stations that can charge a car in just minutes.
Exactly. That would be a game changer for electric vehicles. No more range anxiety, which is one of the biggest things holding people back from buying EVs. And it's not just cars. Electric aircraft are becoming more realistic, which could mean shorter flights on electric planes, cutting down on emissions from air travel.
So we could be flying around on electric planes in the near future.
It's definitely on the horizon. We're also seeing a lot of progress with self-driving vehicles. Cars and trucks are getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, one source predicts that level 4 autonomy, that means vehicles that can drive themselves most of the time without a human needing to take over, could become the standard for new cars from major manufacturers by 2025.
I think we'll see that happen. And we could see entire networks of self-driving trucks on the highways, changing the trucking and logistics industries. Imagine convoys of driverless trucks moving goods across the country, saving money, and making things more efficient.
It's an interesting vision, but what about all the truck drivers? Will they lose their jobs?
It's a valid concern. Autonomous vehicles will inevitably lead to some job losses, and it's important that we support those workers and help them transition to new roles, but it will also create new jobs in fields like software development, robotics, and AI engineering.
It seems like technology is always creating and destroying jobs at the same time. We have to adapt and keep learning new skills to keep up.
That's the key. It's a continuous cycle of adapting and innovating.
Okay, so we've talked about electric cars, electric planes, and self-driving vehicles. What else is coming down the road, so to speak?
Well, for those who like a bit of futuristic flair, how about flying cars?
Flying cars. Seriously, are those really going to be the thing by 2025?
They might not be as common as cars on the road, but we could see the first versions of personal flying vehicles taking off, literally. A bunch of companies are working on electric vertical takeoff and landing eVTOL aircraft, which are basically flying cars.
Wow, imagine flying over all the traffic. That would be pretty sweet.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's closer than you might think.
It sounds like getting around in 2025 and beyond is going to be a very different experience. With all these advancements in transportation, it's hard to even picture what it will be like.
It's definitely a time of incredible change and innovation in transportation.
With all this talk about technology and the future, it's easy to get overwhelmed. What advice would you give to our listeners who are trying to make sense of it all?
My advice is to embrace the possibilities and don't be afraid of the unknown. Stay curious, stay informed, and be open to new things.
That's great advice. I think it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive. Up next, we'll be exploring the potential of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and what it could mean for humanity.
It's both fascinating and daunting, isn't it? We'll be discussing the benefits and risks of creating AI that could surpass human intelligence. It's going to be a thought-provoking discussion. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered some pretty mind-blowing predictions so far, but now it's time to tackle the big one. Artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
Yeah, AGI, it's kind of the holy grail of AI research. Creating an AI that can learn and solve problems like a human, not just in one specific area, but across a whole range of tasks.
We touched on GPT-5 earlier, the next generation of OpenAI's language model. And the CEO of OpenAI actually predicts that AGI could be here as early as 2025, driven in part by advancements in models like GPT-5.
It's wild, right? GPT-5 is supposed to have near-human reasoning abilities.
It's hard to even imagine. What would that even look like?
Well, imagine an AI that can understand complex questions and answer them, write different kinds of creative content, translate languages flawlessly, and even learn and adapt to new information all on its own.
That sounds like something out of a movie. What are the experts saying about the potential impact of this kind of AI?
Well, some experts are super excited about the possibilities. They think AGI could help scientists make groundbreaking discoveries, create personalized education for every student, or even make video games so real they're almost indistinguishable from reality.
Okay, that does sound pretty amazing. But let's face it, there are some potential downsides too, right? What happens to human creativity and ingenuity if AI can do it all?
It's a question we have to consider. Some experts worry about jobs being displaced, the spread of misinformation through AI-generated content, and even the possibility of AI becoming uncontrollable.
It's like we're on the verge of something completely new, and we're not sure if it's going to be amazing or terrifying, or maybe both. But let's focus on the positive for a minute. What are some of the exciting developments in AGI research?
One area that's getting a lot of attention is something called few-shot learning. It's about developing AI systems that can learn from just a few examples, similar to how humans learn.
So like an AI that can learn a new task after seeing just a handful of examples.
Oh, exactly, just like a human child.
Wow, that would be a huge leap forward. What else is happening in AGI research?
Another exciting area is the development of AI that can understand cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Why is that so important?
Well, if we want AI to make decisions in the real world, it needs to be able to understand why things happen and what the consequences of its actions will be.
So it's not just about following instructions or recognizing patterns. It's about actually understanding the world and how it works.
Exactly. It needs to be able to reason and think critically.
That's incredible. So how long until we see these truly intelligent AI systems, the ones that can think like humans?
It's tough to say for sure. Some experts think it's just a few years away. Others think it's decades or even longer.
It's hard to even fathom what that would be like.
I know, it's mind-boggling. But one thing's for sure, AI is advancing rapidly, and we need to be ready for the changes it's going to bring.
So what can we do to prepare for a future with AGI?
Well, first and foremost, we need to learn as much as we can about AI. We need to understand both the good and the bad so that we can make smart decisions about how to develop and use AI safely and responsibly.
Education is key. What else can we do?
We also need to have some serious conversations about the ethics of AGI. How do we make sure AI aligns with our human values? How do we prevent it from being used for harmful purposes? These are questions we need to address as a society.
It's a lot to think about, but it's important. It really feels like we're standing on the edge of a new era, and we have the responsibility to guide its development in a positive direction.
I agree. It's up to us to shape the future.
Well, this has been an amazing journey exploring all these predictions and trends for 2025. From AI and robots to cryptocurrency and the future of work, it's been quite a ride.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure. The pace of change is accelerating, and the next few years are going to be full of both incredible opportunities and difficult challenges.
It's both exciting and a bit daunting all at the same time. But one thing's clear, the future is what we make it. By being curious, adaptable, and willing to learn, we can navigate these changes and create a future that benefits everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future. And don't forget to subscribe to our Cozy podcast.